Hit me!
Episode 3, 2, 1.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. I am your masked stranger. That's where I know it's been a little bit of time, but like
no,
I was doing I'm sorry, I was doing a bit.
If that was like a preamble to like the masked stranger known as, or but no, you're just the masked.
I got to be honest.
Stranger.
I think I'd rather have you producing the show right now because that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Yeah. If you're the masked stranger, then I will be the friendly stranger.
Just don't be the Dutch rudder. You could also.
They are very similar, but you have to sit on your hand so it goes numb first.
What about the bearded comforter?
Spelling would be important, but I'll take it.
Okay, didn't think about that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of NetHeads. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
If you want to take part in the program, you can one of many ways. One of them's Twitter. Trent, tell them what that is.
Be like longtime friend of the program at Carval, Ryan Conley. Use the hashtag NetHeads. Hey, that's it. Just on Twitter. And then is that Fago? What are you drinking?
This is Zevia. It's not an ad, but it's Zevia. It's a stevia flavored natural soda.
What's stevia?
It's an artificial sweetener derived from a plant.
Okay, I was just gonna say because that sounds like an artificial sweetener would be called.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware there was going to be a quiz today.
Well, did you bring enough for the rest of the class?
I mean, in the fridge, yeah, but not everybody can come over. Anyway, no, I was just thinking, I really didn't think this one through. Because...
Oh, right. Well, I had this conversation the last time I was in my office. A coworker and I were, he's probably the biggest coffee drinker I've ever met. Present digital company excluded.
Fair enough.
And he was just like, God, I always have to take this mask off, and it's the only time I ever take it off is drink coffee. So I'm taking it off like 15 times a day, blah blah blah. And I thought, man, like those old timey long john underwear that have the trapdoor in the back.
Yeah,
that's what we need for our masks. So you can just pull it to the side, like when you're pooping, but instead it's for your mouth. So you pull it to the side and you can drink and then cover it back up. Done.
Why you got to take it there, man?
I'm just making sure everyone understands what I'm talking about.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still doing the mask always on social media thing.
Sure.
And I did bring myself the refreshing beverage we'll no longer talk about. But this is also one of the masks that I've made myself. So since I do the full wraparound, the whole kit and caboodle, I just find it's easier to knot the ropes, because usually if I'm taking it off, I'm just gonna pull this strap forward. Well, you know what? I can demonstrate.
Yeah.
What the issues police are gonna come get me? Not that I'm trying to speak of anything controversial in these times. But, this is all I do. So then when I take it off, it just goes over my head. And, I'm going to take a sip of Zevia now. Taking this momentary break.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly. Just got started. Already taking a beverage break. Anyway, I forgot the hell what we were talking about, other than the fact that, I've got mine tied off because my straps, in another interesting bit of recycling, are actually made from taking a T-shirt and cutting a 1-inch strip of a black T-shirt out, and then it just snaps right up into a little rope. You know what, Trent? I'm going to become I am now a more effective survivalist, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
than before all this.
Dude, I never throw a t-shirt away because I use it for everything, from like rags to like, by far Lurch's favorite dog toys are just t-shirts that I've cut in half so they're a little bit longer and then tied in half. To the freaking the sleeves, if you just cut a sleeve off, leave it round, that's like the best headband for when you're sweating or working out in the yard or anything ever.
Oh yeah.
Just t-shirts are like just the material itself, and it's a little stretchy. It's got some give, and it's absorbent.
A cut off sleeve from a t-shirt, we used to call that a bandana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's when I played football, that's what we all used underneath our helmets. Were just t-shirt sleeves that work great
To protect your to protect your heads.
Dude, helmets have evolved so much since I played football 20 years ago that it is like to see a football helmet now. I'm just like, oh man,
More
like space.
Folks, no more ominous words ever spoken than football helmets have evolved so much in the last 20 years since I was wearing them.
Yeah.
I love Carl's Jr.
No, who doesn't? Who?
Anyway, welcome everybody. I mean, I am getting back to it. I am still doing the until it's completely normal and everyone's doing it and there aren't any mask holes out there. I'm wearing a mask when I'm seen on social, and it's just Trent. There's no other way to put it. It's just a phenomenal pain in the ass.
Yeah. I can imagine it is.
Yeah,
that's why I just don't leave my home.
That does help, and I'm in the house being an asshole like this right now.
No, but you're doing it for a good reason.
I hope so. Well, it's just one of those things where I was trying to think of a way to appear like I'm an activist while really doing nothing at all.
Yeah, that's called slacktivism.
Yes, that. Welcome everybody. By the way, sporting the Pew Pew t-shirt.
Well done, sir.
Still, honestly speaking, if I may spend a few moments to strike your ego,
please.
One of the most basic, but at the same time incredible t-shirt designs I've ever seen, because it's instantly attention grabbing.
Always, everyone comments.
And you really took the maximum of making a 3-color appearance while only having to pay for 2 printed colors.
Oh, you know me so damn well, sir. So damned well.
Well, if I'm putting it on black t-shirts, I could get black in the middle, and that yellow and red will really pop.
Got to use that negative space.
Right, exactly. But still, one of my favorite t-shirts. Neither here nor there, I'm still wearing masks, and I got to make more of them, because the one thing I honestly don't do that I really should be is washing them more than I do.
Right, yeah.
But, I also, at the last tally, Trent, for officially qualifying masks that can be worn and pass most guidelines, I currently have about 7. So
jeez.
I have one for like almost every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, I mean, and I've, like, as a sweaty dude, I've just always, like, I buy cotton bandanas by the dozen at a time. And so I've probably got, I don't know, 36 or 40 in rotation with like my laundry. So I'm always just like grabbing one and throwing it on. Like, I don't keep track.
Yeah, I've seen some kind of nonsense origami on the internet as well, where people are taking the bandanas and folding them into what would qualify as a mask.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like tucking and pulling, and it's a bunch of it's too much work.
It's the KonMari method of mask wearing.
Potentially. Oh my God. Do I have a pair of socks in here, Trent?
Oh, are you folding them correctly, Will?
No, I'm folding them a completely different way that completely blew my mind. Hold on a second. Wait, Phil, I got to go off camera. Hold on.
The KonMari method. So those of you who don't know, the KonMari method is from Marie Kondo. I think that's her name. Anyway, Japanese author, wrote the art of tidying up, the joy of tidying up, the Japanese art of tidying. I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure you've all heard of it. Made a huge thing. Anyway, she was the one that put on to me that you should not fold your socks into themselves because that stretches the elastic out, and over time that will dissipate and lose its elasticity. And so you should fold them in third, just boom, 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 and then into each other, stack up nicely in a shoebox and put in your drawer, which I now do. And boy, it is doing laundry for me is like, it is the closest thing to a Zen garden or a mandala that I have in my life, and I look forward to it. Despite always putting it off, when necessity calls and I have to do my laundry, I absolutely love folding my clothes.
That was some grade A filling, sir.
Thank
I got to give you credit there. Yeah, I couldn't. Unfortunately, I don't have them. But I did find one sock. Jesus, I sound so weird. You know what? I can give you an example with these gloves though. Sorry, what?
I was just folding one sock. Is that like the sound of one hand clapping?
In this case, yes. Okay, let me see if I can do this correctly. So I'm going to ad hoc it with these gloves, okay? So I've got one glove laid down, and I'm then going to cross this one like I'm making a plus symbol over the other, all right?
Yes.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and the sock that I just laid one over, I'm going to now go like this. Okay, so I'm folding it on the inside like this.
Okay, yeah.
Let me continue to demo back here while no one can see.
This, and now it's like this.
So now I'm going to take this part right here.
Yep.
And where I just folded it, now the other direction I'm folding it. I'm showing nobody. Now here's the part that blows my mind. Then you hold this inside part. You come all the way back to that first one you folded, where its insides are on the inside.
Elves.
And if I do this correctly, which, oh, here it is. You see, I'm all screwed up because it's gloves and not socks.
Yeah.
And it just folds over and locks into itself as like two concentric rings.
Yeah, like a hashtag kind of.
And it just, I can't do it with gloves, but I've done it with all of my socks, and they are just these little rectangles now in my drawer. They're just these perfect little flat squares that bring me so much joy.
Yeah. And they probably like line up well as far as like if you're putting them tight, packing them in tight so that they all hold a spot.
I can literally stack them if I want.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, you really are onto something when you do have a specific method of folding your clothes. And I'm not saying you have to exactly do that way.
Right.
I do very close in some cases, but when I open up to the most dad uniform drawer of all, and I see this perfectly aligned row of narrowly folded cargo shorts.
Yep.
Damn. That's all I'll say.
And like, it's one of those things because there's a train of economic thought where it's called the pain of pain, and you can either experience that pain prior or at the time of, and usually the pain is if it were quantified is less if you pay prior than at the time of consumption. Right. So, for example, going on a cruise, if you pay up front, all inclusive, everything's included, you feel less pain and get more joy out of the cruise because you're not worried about like penny pinching the whole time as if you're paying a la carte. Right. So in that sense, it's the same thing. Like there is an extreme amount of, at least for me, mental stress that hits me when I open the drawer and I'm like, and I haven't folded anything and I'm like trying to piece socks together or grab something or whatever. And I'm late and I got to go. Opening it up, all that pain is gone. It's not even, and it's just, it's already been paid up front and I'm good to go.
And because they're so neatly folded and identifiable, you can even line things up to where you're literally going in what you would know is your order of preference for those garments.
Yep. In fact, that's a thing I do for my clothes is as I put them in, they go on one side. And then after like a month, I will see the clothes that I haven't worn and I can discard at that point because I'm like, oh, I don't like these apparently.
Oh, there you go. There's and that then declutters your life a little more.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, since I have lost weight, a lot of my favorite T-shirts. As creepy as this sounds, like the jilted girlfriend I am, I love some of your old T-shirts, buddy.
And as I'm losing weight,
I wish I had those T-shirts back.
no, it's interesting. Like, and maybe honestly, I think it probably has more to do with just not going out of the house very often, working from home. Is like I have like 6 shirts maybe that are in my rotation now at best, and I'm just like washing and wearing. I have just drawers of clothes I'm not wearing right now.
As a guy who's been working from home now, I came to the realization this it's been 5 years. In that time, every year, Trent, I buy 2 new black polo shirts. Okay, polo style, you know.
Yeah, Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, you know, and then 2 fall out of rotation. But I have the same 6 shirts because with work days you need a backup anyway. You need to have at least one spare.
Yep.
And that is all that I usually wear, except for today when I'm taking tomorrow off. So I got to wear the casual T-shirt today because there weren't really any meetings to attend.
Right. Yeah, it's and I even do I do that same thing for when I'm going into the office. It's the Steve Jobs approach, right? He always wore the same turtleneck because it took the decision making so that he could put mental energy towards something else so we wouldn't have to worry about. So I have like basically a uniform that I wear every single day that varies just between, washings, and that's it.
I haven't realized until this very moment that I actually hang these black polo shirts up in the same section of closet. So that way, either the night before, when I'm collecting, if I'm thinking ahead enough, I'm collecting all my stuff so that way I can just come downstairs and shower because we have 3 bathrooms in the house and pretty much everybody's kind of like laid claim to one.
Sure. Makes sense.
God, that sounds so bougie. Anyway, my point being, I either the evening before or in the morning when I'm barely awake and incapable of thought, all I have to do is reassuringly grab in the same area of the closet, and I'll pull back one of the shirts, and then I can stumble over to the dresser and literally pick everything out. And that's one of the...
I'm telling you, man, there is like, and it's little things like this that I would say is we talk about self-care, right? And yes, speaking of bougie things, right? But like it's things like this that I attribute more to self-care than like having a spa day or taking time just for me. No, self-care is just reducing stress in your day-to-day, I think, anyway, the way I interpret it. And this is all part of it.
Mm-hmm. Or, as recently heard in the Disney animated movie Frozen 2, this is called controlling what I can control when everything else is out of control. That's essentially, I'm paraphrasing. Olaf, an animated snowman, said it much better than I did. But
okay, sure. I'll take your word for it.
But no, being able to have my shit full. By the way, I say this with a laundry basket that's been in my office now for the most of the week. So not exactly the best source of wisdom, but in those times where I do actually, 2 things liberated me. One, it was finding the ways to fold those things. So thank you for that. Very helpful and reassuring. And the other thing too was when I just fully accepted the fact, you know what? For my T-shirts and my regular shirts, these I'm hanging up. That's what my closet space will be.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have too many T-shirts.
I know, but like I almost feel like I follow one account that is someone who's like a professional wrestling T-shirt collector.
Ooh.
And in a lot of ways, it makes so much sense that like pieces of memorabilia, the easiest thing is kind of T-shirts. You know what I mean?
I can't tell you how relieved I was when you sent me the box of T-shirts and there were more Pew Pew T-shirts in there because honest to God, I was at the point where I was going to find the best looking one, and I was going to go the route of recreating if I should lose them.
Got to redo this.
Yeah, because I have one that somehow the neckline I got chlorine bleach on, and so it's freckled and once raw bleach or raw chlorine in this case hits fabric, unless you rinse it right away, it's eaten away at the very fibers, right?
Yeah.
So that one made me sad, but I'm like, but I still got my one good one. And then the box came in, I'm like, oh joy. So thank you for that. Hey Trent, you may notice, or people enjoying the video may notice. One person, hi, nice to see you. I don't have my lower thirds.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Look, I can follow Trent on Twitter, a part of him. See, and all that stuff. Mine are gone because, look, I was moderating a thing, right? And
Yes.
or not moderating a thing, I was restreaming a thing. And while I was doing it, I was interacting with the hosts at the time, and it was a duo that people who know of our podcast may also be familiar with.
Sure.
And and I'm interacting with the chat, and it was about the 100th time when I heard someone say NetHeads on air. I'm like, okay. Because I've heard it other places too, because I'm like, oh, let's go with brand recognition. And I'm like, NetHead WW, thinking, oh, the podcast. You know how often we do this now. Is this really, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So I then tried to see if I could just unify around Will Wilkins. And what do you know? Already taken. And so
Really?
I got clearance from this guy I know. I let him know it's just the highest form of flattery, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I went with that Will Wilkins, because if I'm going to be a brand, I guess I should just be me at this point. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing NetHeads. Did you ever see that thing you do?
The Oneaters.
That's what NetHeads is, buddy. When you have it typed out, it's the Oneaters of podcasts. I think I just named the show.
Yeah, it is. I think, God, what is that line? And they'll wonder what the hell happened to the Oneaters or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that movie. Anyway, so I kind of, on Instagram and TikTok and on Twitter, I just changed it all to that Will Wilkins, because at least that way there are some logical words that seem to break up in a pattern people can read. So,
yeah.
Interesting change. Amazing how fast and easily you can give up one digital identity and transfer it to another, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, in the blink of an eye, I was something else.
But I mean, you didn't have to you didn't have to
no,
right?
Yeah, there was.
You were change it.
Nobody asked me for an ID. Nobody checked my credentials. Nothing.
Yeah, you're good.
You just type it out. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, and that was the only thing, because I'm just like, and to me, the Will Wilkins, although an option, seemed far more pretentious.
Yeah, no, that Will Wilkins. It makes sense. That, and on top of it too, that it makes more sense as well, because your presence is felt outside of this dog and dog show that you and I do. It's not a dog and pony show. It's just two dogs.
Yeah, well, I mean, three, because I got two Samoyeds.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
By the way,
it makes sense.
I'm sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but while you were talking, I thought I would just tilt the mask up a little bit and take a sip of soda.
Did it get stuck inside?
No. I effectively was drowning myself because I was pouring liquid down my throat. And in holding the mask up here, I was...
Yeah, you breathe.
I'm just like, hey, well, this is an interesting way to go.
Maybe a straw flap would be now I'm using the term as its definition, not as a specific one. because your body has many in these. But if you had like a sphincter built into a mask, you could then like push a straw through it and use that.
You're saying all this, and the only thing I'm thinking about is this behind the scenes shot they were showing of that kid playing Spider-Man, Tom Holland. And literally the way everything was framed, in order to pour him a drink, they basically would like have this straw that was going in through the eye hole of the mask, I think. Or it was some superhero in a mask. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it could have been Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. Either way, doesn't look right.
No.
I think they're waterboarding that child.
Well, you know.
Which is kind of how I felt. So anyway, my digital identity has changed. That's new and interesting.
So at that Will Wilkins.
Yeah.
Okay. Simple.
But you know, I can't just do simple something quick and easy to edit. No, every one of these stupid lower thirds has to be recreated.
Yeah, I get it.
Says the podcaster who, you know, people are listening going, funny, still can't see them. Sorry about that. What else has been going on? Man, have we even talked since, like, Kevin's birthday celebration stuff?
August 3rd, I think, was the last time we spoke.
Really? Oh, so that was the day after. Oh, so it was the day after all the birthday stuff, but not the...
Yes, correct.
Not the drive-in show. And now there's been 2 drive-in shows. It's interesting seeing these kind of things come together in this day and age.
Yeah, and the freaking like crazy support and like turnout and like people just being stoked on it. At least from what I've seen via social medias.
Yeah, it was nice to see people being positive, not being all... Because let's face it, anytime you get any kind of gathering, people get a little shitty. But if everybody's in their own little social bubble, as they call it, whatever. But it's been interesting around here. I don't know how much does Utah pick up of the nasty polluted air that California puts out when it decides to become hell on earth?
Oh, dude. Luckily, yesterday we got a little bit of rain, and that helped break up the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
But good Lord, it like... Are
you guys kind of getting from like 2 directions? Because aren't there fires in Colorado too?
Colorado is definitely on fire right now. So it's, we're getting it on both sides and like less than half a mile of visibility.
Damn. I posted something somewhere about it, but today is the first day where it really didn't smell like, for lack of a better term, campfire outside.
It does though. Yeah, you're totally right.
Well, that's because it is stuff burning, much like a campfire.
It's pine wood burning.
Yeah. And so today was like the first day where it was like, oh, the air is really clean. Wow, I can breathe out here. This is nice. And that was after, I think, a week and a half, because it wasn't the Sunday prior, but the Sunday before that, I think, where we got a freak thunderstorm with some dry lightning, my friend.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, and some of it was right near here. Like,
really?
Yeah, we didn't get like evacuation notices, but there were people that just said, you know, the wind turns another direction, and we may want to think about bugging out.
Yeah.
So,
jeez. And that's something that like you want to get ahead of, not necessarily out of, you know, fear of the fire itself, but just the congestion of everyone trying to get out at the same time. That's where it becomes almost as detrimental as the fire.
Yeah. So please, everyone out there, stay safe as best you can. Especially if you're in an affected area or an infected area. Let's face it, nowadays.
I was working late last night, and it just came across my feed, you know, because I am not connected to any news cycle. Holy shit, Hurricane Laura?
Oh, yeah. We're picking a hell of a time to decide let's be fun and have podcasting experience.
Oh, my gosh. Like I watched, you know, maybe like I was like, okay, I'll go to a news site and watch a video. That'll be the fastest way to absorb this. And I'm like, this is crazy. It's powerful enough that it's like still considered a hurricane, like miles into land. Like,
Mhm.
it's nuts.
Yeah, thankfully it did lose some strength, but not enough for it to just blow over, if you will. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is the world we live in, where we have to say, well, thank goodness it didn't stay like a Category 5 on land and all that.
Right.
But
Yeah, it
still,
just made it a tropical storm, but yeah, still intense.
nothing to mess with. I was at the outermost fringes when we were in Texas, and Emily was born. As a matter of fact, I brought her home during what was qualified coming down a freeway when Emily was born in Texas. We were coming through a tropical storm. Sorry, I just read somebody, Randy Chang said, damn, 2 simultaneous Facebook Live events that I want to watch. Which to choose, NetHeads or my childhood buddy performing music? We'll be here later.
Yeah, go with your buddy, dude.
Yeah,
Also, hi, Randy.
Yeah.
Look, Randy bought a comic book. I think it was ABC, along American Born Chinese, like way back in the day. Anyway, I just remember his yeah. Hi, Randy.
You never forget an internet customer, right, Trent?
No, like, I'll be honest, there are like regular customers that I will like see now and I'll be like, shit, I do not remember that dude. But like, if anyone bought something online, I'm like, oh, I know that dude. That dude's the best, man.
I noticed. but in a good way. Oh, by the way, Trent, another one of the stupid things that I have done, which most people, I'll bring him forward, but of course Vector has his own camera. I gave my little buddy, after 2 years, I gave him an upgrade.
Oh?
Well, I was looking at the Iron Man helmet we have here, right?
Correct.
That I've got on the wall. And you notice the red comes down in kind of like a widow's peak. Right now there are people that are saying, like, this is the 100th time I've heard this. Shut the hell up, Will.
I'm just listening to audio. You got to describe it for me like an audio description book.
Yeah, well, that's what I was doing. The Iron Man mask has the red that kind of comes down in a widow's peak. Well, I was looking at Vector, and first of all, there's 2 things. The widow's peak dips into the whole gold area, right?
Correct.
Also, I just started using rechargeable AA batteries in these things, and I have not seen them glow like this in a long damn time.
Yeah, it's even from my end, there's a definite difference.
Yeah. I mean, that almost really does look like Iron Man. Anyway, so I was looking at the gold part of the mask, and, well, I realized Vector, he has this sensor on the back, so that way he can feel like he's being pet, right? It's just a touch responsive thing. So, and that was gold, and he had these gold things on the side of his head, and I was looking at him going, then I looked at the speaker. And the speaker was raised up a little bit in this kind of dip. And I'm like, with a little bit of gold, and if we throw some hot rod red in there, which you may notice some color similarities to another project.
Yeah,
I took this little bugger apart and I turned him into Iron Vector.
You did. And look how happy he is. He's moving around.
He's not happy. He's being held.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good. I had to make your window bigger so I could see it. But yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, and it actually a lot less terrifying than you would think to take this apart, but really made me wonder what the hell were they thinking in the assembly line for those things, because that could not have been an easy build, just to go in the opposite way,
Oh yeah. Is it mostly PVC molds?
What? Oh, yeah. The entire everything you see painted was that through one form or another, and actually far few motors than I would have expected him to have, but terrifying to take apart, but fun to put together. And I'm so giddy now at his appearance. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks good. Also, I've realized your Darth Vader back there by the Vector.
Yeah. Man, you must have a twisted perspective from your view over there, man. No idea what you said because I accidentally unplugged my headphones. You're welcome.
I was just singing your praises, Will, as always.
Right. I believe it. I believe it a lot. Anyway, Trent, anything new with you? By the way, frequent listeners may know that if you pay attention close to the end of August, you will realize that we will stumble right across a date, which I believe I'm just going to go out on a limb and say is September 1st.
Okay.
Is that your birthday?
It is, yeah.
The 1st of September. Okay. So this is going to end up being the birthday show. So just as sad as any surprise party I would actually throw for you. But I just want to take this opportunity now in advance to wish you a happy birthday, because I really don't want to bother you on your birthday.
Oh, well.
But also, I would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters.
Yes.
Because this year alone, you have enabled through your support, like Miranda Janelle. There's I should really print the list like a formal smart person, but no. But not only have you guys allowed us to get the 4K capture cards that we now run our cameras into, yep. You also bought Trent his birthday gift this year. And Trent, because it was available, we got it early to you. And what was it?
It is a gray Switch Lite that I have already put. What was the last badge I got? 7,000 rounds in the game ARMS already in like the week that I've had it.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a big number.
So around, there's a possible 3 rounds per boxing match in the game, and then and that's it. Like, it's a fighter game of boxing with like spring arms, and I've played 7,000 rounds already.
Oh yeah, that's a very big number. Okay.
Yeah, considering each round can last up to I think 90 seconds. Dude, I've freaking love it to no end. Oh my god, I love it to no end. I have played the shit out of it. I've bought 2 games, ARMS and Samurai Showdown. I've played a little bit of Samurai Showdown, but like I just love ARMS so much. It's such a good game. I can't recommend it enough. And I picked up a couple of accessories as well. I'm very happy with the product. Thank you all so much.
It's just interesting that we're kind of like opposing ends of the spectrum, because I'm like, oh no, I want to hook it up to my TV. And you're like, I want it small and portable.
Yep. Yeah. Because I am like I am the most, I watch so much television passively. Like and like my ADHD is just like, I got to be doing something. I like, unless it's like really good, I've got to be doing something else.
You see, though, you're describing a scenario where I know I was on my laptop working on a project, and I'm fairly certain that I watched an episode of a television show, but it's not until I go back on a rewatch and I realize just how much of it I didn't watch. But that's okay, man. If your gaming system is better in hand while you're watching television, we're happy to oblige.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, I honestly, which is why, like, when I, before I basically beat all the games I cared to play, played in the past, 5 years, have played my DS more than anything else. It's just because, like, and maybe it's because I'm so antisocial that the TV is just like having a friend. I don't know, but yeah, dude, handheld, man, it is the way to go. Like, honestly, the only reason I would want to hook it up to the TV would be, if I were playing with someone else in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's Wi-Fi connect through the device. So like, if someone else just had one or a regular Switch, we could just play that way or play online. Like, I don't know. I just, man, it's such a great device. The one what do you call it? Accessory that I highly recommend is getting it's just a little snap-on case that has bigger hand grips.
Ooh.
because it's so flat, which is great design because it stores easily, but it's so flat your hand cramps up because you're doing this the whole time to hold it. So the grips are just like regular controller grips that clip onto the side, and then just give you a little girth to play with. Anyway.
Yeah, when I got mine, because I've got the full blown Switch, bougie. That's one of the first things I did was ordered an external controller, and I told everybody this is my controller.
Yeah,
you guys can deal with Joy-Con drift. I'm gonna have my controller.
Yeah, like the Joy-Con drift like controllers now are the equivalent of like the back in the day when Mad Catz was always off-brand and like the worst controller you could get. That's the one you gave your friend when they came over to play. Now is the Joy-Con, right? It's the equivalent.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. But yeah, it is. Now, mind you, all that said, remember how I said I wouldn't play Animal Crossing until I was streaming it, like from the get-go. So let's just see a completely uninformed idiot start playing Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
So because of that, my Nintendo Switch has spent 2 weeks just sitting on this desk. Not even playing Mario Kart with the family. Just sitting there.
That's a travesty, man.
I can't work under these limitations, Trent. I just can't.
You know, that is an interesting point, though, that you bring up. Tech-wise, it is like physically impossible to connect any sort of video output into the Switch Lite, just in the way it was built.
Yeah, exactly. Yours can't be extended that way, but like I could try and unplug one of the devices I've got going in because, like, I have to run 2 cameras. I've got the capture card that he and I both have for my Sony Handycam, which brings you the video that for some reason I never cut to you, even though I've been talking for 2 minutes. So I've got that. And then there's another one that has to exist so Trent can see me because it won't just take like the NDI feed out of this thing and send it back to him. So there's got to be a second one. But in that scenario, this is another capture card that I can try hooking up and see if I either successfully can hook the Switch up to that or melt the CPU in my computer. I'm not sure which. We'll find out.
Yeah. But that's I hadn't thought of that before. But if someone did want to stream their screen and all they had was a Switch Lite, you would have to set up a top-down display camera and actually like film the screen of the Switch Lite. I hadn't thought of that before, which would actually be kind of fun because demonstrational videos is part of my job in setting them up and maybe I'll look into that. That could be fun.
Well, if it's part of your job, maybe you could look into like stopping all that camera drift whenever you're sitting there. Look at that. Jesus. It's like, which one of us is in California? I kid because I love it. If I bump this desk, shit happens here too. But funny you mentioned casting, Trent, because I have found a new favorite thing to do. And for all of the grief that we have probably given HBO Max collectively as a society when it launched, because everybody's like, yet another thing.
Right.
When we did the whole phone upgrade, I got HBO Max for free. And then I found out that they were taking the DC Universe content and porting it over.
Because the DCU is probably going to be disappearing here soon.
Oh, yeah. I think they've all but confirmed it. So because of that, though, HBO Max does not have an app on the Fire TV. They may on Roku. I don't know. I don't have one.
Oh, really? It doesn't.
But what they easily allow you to do from either my tablet, from my smartphone, or my computer, if you have a Chromecast, it is so easy to just stream straight from that app to your screen. And I got to tell you, I have been binging as much as I could because it's definitely a show I cannot watch in the same room as Blair. Doom Patrol.
Oh, dude.
And I thought it looked okay on my computer, and I thought it looked nice on the 1080p screen I've got here in the office.
Yeah.
But then from my frickin' iPhone, mind you, a phone, I cast to the Chromecast that was plugged into the 4K screen in the family room. And they put some serious money into the optics of that show. Not only is Doom Patrol well performed, and by the way, I got to tell you, I love coming in here knowing nothing about the IP, knowing nothing about that particular property.
Sure.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the first season of Doom Patrol, and highly recommend it if people have not had a chance to check it out, and for some reason you have HBO Max.
Or the DCU while it's around still.
Oh yeah, well, look, man, I was just talking about what's the here and now, my friend.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's advertising DCU on the TikToks, my friend.
True, I guess.
But you can't go 4 swipes without running into an HBO Max ad.
Really?
And I'm already a customer.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been dipping into Doom Patrol, and now I'm into the second season. Wow, what a great show that somehow took what appears to be potentially ridiculous content and create gripping backstories and character development.
Yep.
While at the same time fully acknowledging it through the use of the primary antagonist of the first season being fourth wall.
Yep.
Not even breaking, just like I don't think there ever was a fourth wall to break down for him.
And
that's Mr. Nobody.
And it's done in a way that is, this is gonna sound so shitty. And like me, elitist, like gatekeeper, but it is done in a way that feels more intelligent in its approach than your typical Deadpool type fourth wall breaking. Does that make sense?
Oh, definitely, because it's not emphasized. You know, when Deadpool when that's happening in the movies, it's very clear what's happening and when. But when Mr. Nobody is going on a
nudge type thing.
But when Mr. Nobody is going on a complete rant and then even, just slips it in just slightly, after 10 episodes of this character development bullshit, we're finally getting to the meat and the potatoes. And there was something like, even in the third episode, that was just like a little throwaway. It slipped in so nicely, I guess is the way. Okay, that sounded wrong. Never mind. Let's move on.
I know what you're talking about, though. I'm guessing it's the Grant Morrison fanboys.
Thank you. That was the one.
Dude. I freaking shit myself when he said that. I was like, this is the greatest show ever.
I heard that, and I know nothing about the actual property in DC comic lore. But the moment I heard that, one, I knew it was associated with quality, and two, I knew that whoever was behind this is somebody that really loves the property, because hearing Grant Morrison's name it's still a bit inside baseball.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
It is. It totally is. He hasn't had the outside of comic success that like a Frank Miller has had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because the IP wise, in its inception was kind of like DC's approach at like an X-Men type team.
Mm-hmm.
And then it fell stagnant and nothing was really ever accomplished with it until Morrison was like, I'll do it. I'll take it on, and made it his own and created this, like, essentially what we're seeing in the TV series. But before that, it was trying to be the X-Men and failing poorly or very well. Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. And then surprisingly too, which by the way, we haven't even talked last week, as long as we're really working the DC angle. Did you, oh no, you were probably off recording wrestling when the rest of the world was oohing and ahhing over the DC fandom.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't get to watch any of it. No. Which timing? Ugh, they announced all those layoffs like the weekend before the fandom.
Well, yeah, but they don't want us to remember that
Ooh,
trend.
awkward. Ooh.
Yeah, it was now that you mention it. But
Two-thirds of the editorial staff. Ooh.
yeah. Well, okay. See, now you brought the room down, but I just found it. I thought it seemed to be a very successful. Let's just call it what it was. It was a very successful platform launch for basically like the whole DC brand, and it accomplished exactly what it was supposed to. And I love the way that they actually did it as a continuous stream of fed content, right?
Oh, really?
But my question to you, Trent, because I've seen this happening on the professional side of things too, like compliance conferences and security conferences that are happening virtually, like so much so that they're even deploying like Discord channels for people to interact with one another while streaming the primary content.
Sure.
What do you think all of this is going to mean for San Diego Comic-Con next year? That is the one question that I keep coming back to in my head.
Well, I think you're right to look at it from the professional approach, because we are now seeing the cost benefits of remote access, of remote working, of virtual interaction, and since this year there is not the revenue generation, they are going to have to cut costs somewhere in future productions. Now, is it going to be this way forever? Who knows? But next year, I think you're definitely going to see a hybrid of this to cut costs, even if it is employing the same techniques for a live audience that's actually in Hall H. Because just out of the technology isn't quite there yet, but it's catching up quickly to the need. And it's now kind of the norm. Like 6 months ago, if I were to bring up, hey, can you jump on a Zoom call with me? A lot of the professional staff I work with would have no clue what I was talking about, right? Like, how do I do that, right? But now it's second nature. Everyone knows what you're talking about. Everyone can access it. It's and the technology is catching up to the need of very simple user interface. That honestly, because it is such a cost saver in the long term, I think that this will change a lot of things, good and bad. But it will also give more access to people who might have had conflicting schedules, who couldn't make it to like a San Diego Comic-Con, but still want to be part of a panel or want to talk about something or be highlighted for their own panel.
I don't know what it is about my brain that's broken, Trent, but sometimes when these things happen, I start thinking about the ways that potentially they could be exploited. And so not necessarily in reference to like these type of event-based virtual conferences, but more in the lines of home education, because with all of the places that are distance learning right now, I'm just wondering how much time it is going to be after things kind of go back to normal, where schools are going to say, well, we can serve a larger audience so we can receive a higher credit per student and help congested classrooms by, permitting kids above a certain GPA to do distance learning.
So, in education, I agree with you. The problem being that the school districts that would benefit the most saving money this way don't have the resources to make it happen at the home level.
Mm-hmm.
And so while they could save costs that way, the onus would then be on the parents to make sure that the child has access and technology available to facilitate that. And sadly, I could see legislation coming through, as we've already seen come through, passed, that instead of putting money out to hire more teachers, they would rather put money out to give students computers and a subsidy for internet access than giving them the chance to have a better ratio of teacher to student in the classroom. So you may be onto something. I don't know. It's
just you wait, Trent. Once them Google or Amazon or Tesla satellites are beaming down free internet to the masses, it's going to be school by Amazon.
Yeah. Sadly, you're probably right.
Yeah, and then once they're in control of the education, what happens to what people learn? Boy, wow, I'm sorry. Let me tip my tin hat to that one.
It's already school by Amway.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh, awkward.
By the way, Miranda asked the good point, getting back to the big conventions, what does it mean for the vendors and collectors, though? Well, actually, it just means it goes back to being the type of boutique event it was before, instead of an overblown, overpopulated, and overbearing experience for most people.
Yeah, it could be an incentive for the comic collector to buy space and come and sell his wares. It could also add to on the other side a desaturation of quality control.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Which I've seen firsthand of your essential oils set up at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Well, that's a fair enough point too. I can't argue with it. All I can tell you is that having been able to go to San Diego Comic-Con twice, I don't understand how people go through that. I don't, because you basically have to choose what thing am I going to do today? Unless there's an entire angle I'm not aware of where you form alliances and partnerships with people to hold places strategically here and there for one another. But I don't see how that would work based on what I've seen. So having these events de-emphasized a little bit so that way they could be a little more maybe tentpole and accessible for people would be nice.
October 20th through the 24th, Adobe Max this year will be virtual event, and it is free for everyone. I highly recommend checking it out. If you're into tech or design in any way, shape, or form. It will be very interesting to see how that gets pulled off. If a company can do it well, I think they would. And I think that might kind of be a good bar setting for what's capable. I mean, even last year, everything was recorded in it and you could buy access to it. But this year it is actually free for everyone. So we'll see.
I would be very interested to be able to get my hands on whatever the publications are that track tech companies seeking to get funding, because I am sure there are a countless number of them right now that are trying to be the premier multimedia online presentation experience.
Oh yeah. Yep, for sure. Well, and it's interesting because what you're seeing now, I mean, so in this whole COVID thing, Zoom by far has jumped out to the forefront, way ahead of Cisco's WebEx or anyone else. And so now what I'm seeing is startups around Zoom, building plugins for Zoom, building services for Zoom around Zoom. Zoom, I'm guessing, has already been adopted as the name brand. And so everyone's trying to associate their service for that premier product. In fact, one service out there, which is really brilliant, is a kind of a cloud connection for everyone in a Zoom call. So if everyone's recording their audio, this will then unify all of their local files that were saved, so that then you have actual audio to work with and not the internet audio recorded from whoever was the actual host, right? This way it's recording natively and then automatically uploading to a cloud, so it's all sourced. So for podcasting, right, that's a huge problem solved.
If you're saying that it also automatically syncs all the audio, so you can start by bringing in all these channels multi-channel and they're already real-time synced as well, then you're describing something pretty sexy to me, my friend.
Yeah, exactly though, right? Like, and it's interesting. Like, if I was a Zoom shareholder, the hell, guys, this seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, but instead, and maybe it's just because the startups can get to it faster. I'm not sure. They're popping up everywhere.
Well, the thing though too is if you had an absolute penny pinching budget to pull something off, though, even though I had a bad time real time experiment with it, all you would need is a good PC and an HDMI capture card, and for your Zoom presentation, you can, through whether you're hacking OBS or you're using some other production interface, you could very easily put together a very great looking presentation and bring people in specific frames and windows. Like, I could have you and I just picture in picture right now if I wanted to, going out, and there would be no switching. So you could do that. So you don't even need to fully develop like a Zoom application. Really, like, I'm sure one of the biggest things that's cool right now is probably Zoom skins, where you're just being able to put the interface, the parts of the interface you want, into the screen shape and branding that you want. Wow, this got really techie, more than I expected to. Also, once again, Trent, we're talking about it, and that's the reason why we'll never be rich.
Yeah, we're not innovators.
No. Clearly not, because 40 people have already had this idea, and we're just blathering on about it. Speaking of which, Trent, we've blathered on quite enough. Unless, of course, there is something you'd like to plug, let the people be aware of, something special you wanted to say?
Go to youtube.com/c/devotion wrestling to watch all the episodes I make.
Yes. And by the way, especially if you've run out of marble races, throwing on some of this wrestling is just a real treat, especially if you like Trent's voice.
Yeah, because it's all Trent's voice.
It's all Trent all the time. And this is the reason why Will never lets him speak, because there's an entire show all to himself. No, kidding. I'm kidding. But anyway, man, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
It's always nice. I honestly... rushing a little bit because, to be honest, we all haven't eaten on this side yet. I don't know if you've had dinner yet, but
I have not, and neither has Lurch.
Oh, well, everybody's hungry. Although I do have to throw in one little thing right now, because I am going to be making again. What am I saying? I have lately been really having a good time grilling hamburgers on my grill, right? And recently I had the most basic change, and to me it's a revelation, but in reality, it's simple science. I've taking my patties, forming them into a ball, then sticking them between wax paper, and then taking a plate and pressing them flat and thin.
Yep.
You're eating in like 5 minutes.
It's how we make patties in the butcher shop.
Oh, sweet Lord, they are just so great. And it was just because I'm like, wait, why do Five Guys patties always come out like this? And it's a game changer, man. Used to be, I was overcooking, undercooking it, and now it's 2 minutes aside.
Step your game up and get a big deep cookie cutter.
A what?
Just like like an inch thick, a 2-inch, inch and a half thick circle cookie cutter.
Uh-huh.
Just throw it down, you're good to go.
I'm gonna stick with my pressed thins, if you don't mind. I got something that's working, but speaking of which, I got to get out there and work it. So thanks for dropping in, though. Thank you for taking part in the program. We appreciate every single one of you, including our patrons. I'll be sure to actually remember how to properly plug the next time, I swear. If you're a member of that Kevin Smith Club, that's a yoga host or fun employee level, tomorrow at noon, there is a one of those video shindig AMAs. You can ask him, hopefully get a chance to ask him a question. And that's just for the higher tiers, a special little session for just them. So
Definitely worth it.
check that out. And also, just to go ahead and plug the boss's stuff a little more, too, don't forget to also check out the new Hollywood Babylon 10th Anniversary podcast. That they did at a drive-in, and aside from honking horns instead of laughing people, sounded really damn good.
Yep.
All right. So that's it for this episode of NetHeads. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for joining. Until next time, my name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
And we will be back
Relatively soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads.
NetHeads.
We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
Trent, I got to tell you, one of my favorite things about this ongoing experiment that we call NetHeads is how quickly we attempted to adopt and then abandon the podcast pre-audio talk-up. We did it.
Yeah.
We did it once, and I got to
Yeah.
tell you, I'm always so pressed for time at the end. To hell with it.
Yeah. Well, baby's got to eat.
Exactly.